Hello, and thank you so much for tuning into my podcast. My name is Kara, and I'm a holistic health practitioner for both people and pets. After working for years in the conventional medicine field, I realized that while our lifespans may be getting longer, our health spans are rapidly shrinking. And when it comes to our pets, both their length and quality of life are decreasing. When I turned to functional medicine and a more holistic approach to health, I saw dramatic improvements for my pets, myself, and my patients. Join me each week as I merge natural health for people and pets by focusing on the root cause of disease and applying raw, real remedies that you can use to improve overall wellness for every member of your family, including the furry ones.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final episode of 2025. Before I introduce my guest, I want to take a moment to give you all a brief recap of this past year. So, as you know, Raw Remedies podcast started in January of 2025, and what I thought would amount to me speaking into a camera with maybe a handful of listeners on the other end turned into a passion project that I never expected, but gladly accepted. As Raw Remedies podcast evolved, so did my business, and Raw Claw Adventures transformed into Raw Remedies Health. And not only did I grow and evolve via my business, things also changed for my family. My husband and I packed up our 3 dogs and 3 cats and moved from California back to New York, where we both originate from. We started new jobs, we reconnected with friends and family, and most recently, we bought a house. So here I am recording today's intro in my husband's comfy sweater, sitting in a folding chair in an empty room because we packed up our apartment and loaded it into a moving truck yesterday, one day early, in order to avoid the snow that is currently blanketing the ground outside. Tomorrow we'll be moving into what we hope will be our forever home, with fingers crossed that it'll be the last big change for a long time. I want to say thank you to everyone who has continued to follow along, listen, learn, and grow with me, even after I had to decrease the episodes to monthly rather than weekly with all of these new changes and adventures. Now, without any further delay, I am ecstatic to tell you that my final guest of the year is Dr. Katie Kangas. Dr. Katie is an integrative veterinarian who's been in practice for upward of 30 years and whose focus is on preventative health and supporting natural healing through a myriad of holistic options in combination with traditional veterinary medicine. At her clinic, aptly named Integrative Veterinary Care, she provides acupuncture, herbal medicines, homeopathic remedies, essential oils, chiropractic care, nutritional counseling, and more, providing pets and their guardians with the tools to thrive rather than just survive. Dr. Katie has also created a line of homeopathic remedies called Dr. Katie's Remedies, which can be shared by both pets and pet parents alike. We discuss her remedies in great deal today, along with other natural health modalities that can be combined to support health naturally. So thank you again for being here and supporting my platform. Now let's dive into the perfect episode to close out 2025. All right, welcome back, everybody. Here we are with Dr. Katie Kangas, and I'm really excited for this conversation. I have been eagerly awaiting it for a long time. So Dr. Katie, thank you so much for being here and taking the time out of your busy schedule. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Kara, for having me. It is my pleasure to be here and have a wonderful discussion with you today. And, any topic that is, integratively supporting pets and their humans to have better quality of lives, I'm all for it. And I just love your mission and having me as a part of the journey of that today. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm a big believer, I think, in the universe kind of putting people on the path that they need to walk in order to really connect with others. And I feel like we always help each other grow in our journey and where we're going. And I feel like that's kind of the case for us. And I almost feel like we're kindred spirits because I started in human medicine and then expanded to do functional health for pets. You started in vet medicine, but now you're expanding to create products that can be shared with people. So I would love to just start by having you tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up in this space.
Thank you, Kara. And I love how you led into that. I agree that, the universe matches us up to, collide and do things together when we're meant to. And I also love how you compared our backgrounds. And I am, really niched now in functional medicine, but that's, part of the integrative medicine, sort of umbrella. And so I love to, give people context around that. And so much of my training in functional medicine started out sort of in, human training sessions, human seminars and things like that, and then applying that to animals. So
Yeah.
some of my functional medicine training is, from veterinary, from the get-go, but a lot of it is from the human realm and then apply it. So, and then as we sort of evolve into, much more understanding of integrative medicine and functional medicine, we really see, excuse me, how much of that applies between animals and humans to be
Yeah.
very similar or same. And so the fun thing is when I went to finally create, I've been a veterinarian, by the way, for 30 plus years now. I can't believe I can say that. So for over 3 decades, and then almost 20 years as a holistic integrative practitioner. And
Wow.
so for more than a decade, I've, had the inspiration to create products. And then finally last year that came to fruition. And the Share Your Bowl logo came out of, for Dr. Katie's Remedies, was born out of my years of clinical practice where my team would always hear me say, "Oh, I'm recommending this supplement, for your pet. And this supplement is made for cats and dogs. But by the way, it's awesome for humans too. So feel free to
Yeah.
share the bottle with your dog or your pet." And then vice versa, I'd say, "Hey, this supplement is created for humans, but works really great for pets too. So feel free to share the bottle with them. It's actually a human product." So, and then we talk about foods and it's like, "Oh, your pet should drink bone broth." And people are like, "Oh, I should have that too." Yes, you should, that kind of
Yep.
thing. So it, really became very obvious and also very fun to integrate the humans along with the pet care, which, obviously the pet care being my initial focus. And
Yeah.
through the years, part of the huge reward of me practicing integrative veterinary medicine is I've had so many people tell me that they themselves have gotten healthier, or family members
Yes.
that had significant health issues, and they'll come back to me and they're like, "I know I found you because of my dog or my cat, but I just have to tell you that I just appreciate you so much because myself or my child or my spouse have literally turned our hells around because of the things we learned from you, and that branched us into doing things for ourselves." And that is, I mean, you can't get more rewarding than that we get to help people and pets at the same time. And
Yeah.
so that has grown into big passion and excitement for me. And then here comes my products, Dr. Katie's Remedies, which right now, most of my formulas are homeopathic, and we can talk about homeopathy in a moment.
Yeah.
One formula thus far is not. That's my dental remedy. So we can
Mhm.
talk about the distinction if we want there. And then at some point, I'll expand my line, and my expectations are to have some herbal remedies and some nutritional supplements as well. But I started with the homeopathy. So.
I love it. That's so amazing. And it's so satisfying when you were contacted or consulted to help one member of the family, and then they come back and they say, "What you told me sparked this change, and now my entire family is on a healthier path." I just had the opposite happen to me at work. I work in primary care, and I approach that very integratively. Technically, the office that I work for is within the bounds of insurance. And when you're doing health insurance requirements, like you get 20 minutes with your patient and they expect you to meet certain metrics, right? So that you get paid at the end of the day,
Mhm.
which is frustrating. But if you have the extra time and you have the clientele that's interested in listening, you can recommend other things. So I love when I can say, "I really recommend this herb first," or, "I see that you've been having arthritis for a long time and you're not really getting relief. Have you tried any turmeric? Have we tried a therapeutic dose fish oil? Have you tried a red light therapy?" And I just had a patient the other day who came in to see me, and she was here for a completely different issue. And somehow we got on the topic of the fact that she has 3 dogs. And I told her, "Oh, I also have 3 dogs. I'm actually a canine nutritionist." And she started talking my ear off about it. So I said, "Well, you can visit my website if you want." So I gave her my website. I had a follow-up appointment with her a couple of days ago, and she goes, "Oh, and just so you know, I started feeding my dogs raw food." I was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting, right? So it's so wonderful to be able to help the whole family. And that's kind of my motto on my website is functional health for the entire family, right? Not just for you, not just for your dog, not just for your spouse, for everybody. And I love, love, love that you're doing that too. You mentioned your remedies, and we're definitely going to get to those. But first, I would love to talk about some of your other holistic services. And for people who are listening, before we started recording, we actually were chatting about my dog, Bear, and this is another one of those things where I feel like the universe like puts things together, right? So Dr. Katie and I have been trying to merge our schedules for a while, and we are both crazy busy, and life has not put us together on a date and time that we could be together before today. Well, last night, my dog Bear hurt his neck. And what a coincidence that today is the day that Dr. Katie and I were finally able to connect. So, can you tell me about some of your hands on services that you offer at your clinic? You do acupuncture, right, and chiropractic care. I would love to hear about things and how they can enhance mobility and just overall health.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. And I was thinking, how what kindred spirits we are as you were relaying that last story with that connecting with that client and then
Yeah.
her pets benefiting from that. And that's a good lead into, this kind of clinical care that I offer because, these are all things that are offered, on the human side of things too.
Uh-huh.
And my practice name is Integrative Veterinary Care. And I still have, in-person clinic hours. I actually do a lot of telehealth medicine now though too. So I do see a lot of clients online and I'm able to support pets and people around the country through telehealth. But I do still have hands-on time with patients in my practice. And I offer several modalities, which I have been, doing for years, offering for years. And certainly that is acupuncture, as you mentioned. Also, chiropractic, which is something we just
Mhm.
talked about for
Yeah.
Bear's benefit. And then also, I offer massage therapy and ozone therapy and energy healing, healing touch. So, my massage therapist also does that, laser therapy. And so, a lot of, body work that we can do too. And
Uh-huh.
as you said, support mobility. But all of those modalities that I just listed off help far more than just mobility. And,
Yeah.
kind of their claim to fame is mobility, and people who see their pets with some lameness or arthritic symptoms or pain symptoms are thinking about those kinds of treatments, which great, they shine for that, but they are so useful for much beyond that as well. So, and I often tell people chiropractic therapy, all the nerves in the whole body that go to support all the organ systems, every single, to the tip of every limb comes from the spinal cord. It all
Uh-huh.
branches from there. So when we're out of alignment, not only does nerve conduction not flow well, which can affect everything, but blood supply, lymphatics, all that kind of stuff. And even getting the lymphatics moving has so much benefit to it. So really,
Yeah.
these treatments have far more extensive benefit, I think, than most people realize.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think too, a lot of people will reach for them only once something has acutely occurred, right? An injury or I have pain. But to be able to also do it preventatively and then as maintenance is so underutilized. And, I for years, I used to joke that I would never see a chiropractor because I worked in the emergency department for many years and I saw a couple of the scary, I just had my neck adjusted and then something happened to me, which is so, so rare, as to be almost like a negligible amount, right? But of course,
Hmm.
because I worked in the ER, I was the one who would see it, right? So I always said, well, I'm not going to do chiropractic care. 2 years ago, I went and I saw a chiropractor for the first time for my chronic neck pain that I've been experiencing for almost 10 years. And I felt so much better. And then I could have kicked myself for not going earlier. And, it's And now I do maintenance, even though I was going, she had me come weekly at first, and then every 2 weeks, and then I went once a month. And then when I had to leave California, I was practically clinging to her, crying in her arms, going, how will I ever find someone like you? So, to be able to do it for prevention too is so important. And I love that you offer all those hands-on services, because not all holistic or integrative vets are able to do that, right? That's extra work, extra courses, extra learning that you had to do, beyond obviously just your degree.
Yes, for, each one of those, sort of
Yeah.
modality specialties, takes additional training. And,
Yeah.
fortunately for me too, I mean, I recruited other practitioners to help me because if I'm trying to do it all myself, then I can only see a very limited number of patients.
Right.
But, certainly I'm acupuncture certified. And then I'm also chiropractic certified with the activator with VOM, or veterinary orthopedic manipulation. But I also have another animal chiropractor that works with me that is certified in the manual manipulation, technique. And then I have a certified canine massage therapist who also does our ozone therapy for us, laser therapy, and healing touch energy work therapy. So it's good to develop a team of experts around you so that, we can just offer the best services and reach more patients too.
Yeah. I love that. And I mean, I learned very early on in my career that delegating is important, because you you could do it all, but then you can only do a limited amount of all of it, right? Versus being able to
Exactly.
bring a great group of people together who have different specialties, and you all work together as one beautiful cohesive unit. So yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And it allows us, more availability to offer, like I think you were leading into, for preventative care too, not to
Yeah.
just necessarily, think of making that appointment for your pet when there is a problem. I mean, obviously that's a great time to be making the appointment, but
Yeah.
for, maintenance therapy as well. And, things like I mean, even massage therapy too, but acupuncture and chiropractic very much are such good treatment, therapies to plug into for maintenance,
Yeah.
maintaining health, and preventative. And I love to hear that full circle story of you with, your first sort of exposure to chiropractic and then finding out that it worked for you almost to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, what would I do without this to keep
Yeah.
myself healthy and in balance? And so it's fun for people to realize that, I mean, overall, as you mentioned, chiropractic in the hands of a good chiropractor is extremely safe. I fortunately have not seen, any major problems at all, or really any problems at all in the years that I've been
Yeah.
working with that. So I'm very comfortable with it. But I'm also, really keyed into these therapies being good for treatment, but also being um, exceptionally beneficial for health maintenance and prevention of injury and other health, imbalances as well.
Yeah. And I have to give a shout out to Dr. Erin O'Connor, because she's the one who actually she was like that catalyst spark for me, because I had her on the podcast to talk about animal chiropractic, and that led to a discussion about how I had chronic neck pain. And she almost, in the I say this in the most wonderful loving way, she almost scolded me. And she said, you would do this for your animals, but you won't try it for yourself. And I was like, oh, Erin, no. So that was it. I just needed somebody to tell me I was being ridiculous, essentially, for me to finally take the leap and go for myself. And man, I never looked back. So I can't wait to establish with a chiropractor here in Buffalo now that I've moved home. I've only been here for about 2 months, and I've been without an adjustment for about 3, just in the moving process. And I'm
Mhm.
definitely tighter than I used to be. I can tell. I can tell. So I'm excited to see someone
Yep.
again and get reestablished, and then have my maintenance care.
There
So
you go. Perfect.
you now you also have your homeopathic remedies, and I have actually I have a couple of them here, and I've used them and I've given them to my animals, and they're amazing. So I have tummy, which is like the holy grail in our house. It's amazing. And then I
Yay.
actually just got some of the dental, which I just started using for my kitties, because I value my fingers, and brushing my cat's teeth is not the best way to keep my fingers, no matter how hard I try. so, so we're going to
Yep.
try some dental.
Cats
So-
are generally more a tough customer for a lot of, things and supplements and
Yeah.
tactics.
And especially
that
since I didn't try and get them to do anything until they were all older than 10 years old. So like maybe if they were 10 weeks, I could have convinced, but not a 10-year-old crotchety curmudgeon is what my cats are. They're
Right.
curmudgeons. So yeah, so I would love for you to tell us about your homeopathic remedies, but honestly, could we maybe just start with explaining what homeopathy is and how it works?
Absolutely. That's a great place to start. And then we'll make the distinction that dental is not homeopathic, but we'll get there. Homeopathy is a unique subset or modality under the umbrella of holistic medicine. And I love to make this distinction for people because a lot of people, even in the conventional veterinary realm, think the word homeopathic is synonymous with holistic. And I'll see on medical records that I'm reviewing all the time from, shared patients where they're working with me or another holistic vet, and the conventional vet will write, they're seeing a homeopathic vet or they're on homeopathic supplements. And then I'll read through the supplements. There's actually no homeopathy in there. It's all herbal or nutritional. So they just misconstrue that word, and that a lot of people think the word homeopathy means holistic. It is a holistic modality, but holistic is the big umbrella of all natural, medicine, all natural supportive, and we get into, prevention and integrative and all that. So natural tools are the holistic. And then within the holistic, we have our herbal, we have nutritional supplement. You can even break down the herbal to Western herbs, Chinese herbs, there's all kinds of tools. And then obviously our nutritional supplements, etc. And then homeopathy is a whole different, subset of tools. They are all natural, of course. And so homeopathic remedies come from organic substances, animal, plant, mineral substances that this is the interesting thing with homeopathy is the word homeopathy dates back like in, Greek, Latin language means like heals like. That's what homeopathy means. And so the interesting thing is that we are choosing remedies to support that human or animal's body back into balance. You're choosing a remedy that at full strength in nature, that substance would actually cause the symptom that you're trying to help the body to overcome right now. So what is done with homeopathy is these ingredients are diluted down to an extreme dilution to where there's a very, very tiny amount of that original substance left. It's so fascinating because conventional medicine people look at it and they're like, that is so dilute. There's no way that's doing anything. Like that's hogwash. Holistic experts and certainly homeopathic experts, certified homeopaths know that this extreme dilution has a lot of great benefits to it. One of the benefits is that that's what lends to so much safety. Like one of the things that homeopathy is well known for is its level of safety. It's extremely safe modality because these remedies are so dilute. The other neat thing about homeopathy is the very, very tiny amount is really working in the body on almost an energetic basis, more so than something that, like a pharmaceutical or even an herb, that a certain volume is going to be that therapeutic volume that does something. In homeopathy, it's so dilute already. I often tell people, like, my label says a quarter dropper full-ish. Put it in the mouth, or, if you have to, you can put it in food. We could talk about that. But I always tell people it's not even that dose dependent. You could do an eighth of a dropper full. You could do a half of a dropper full. You could do a quarter of a dropper full. It's not crucial because it's already so diluted. It's get a little bit in. And it's literally working on the level of quantum energy in the body. And so it's stimulating the body to overcome whatever imbalance is going on and helping to nudge the body back into homeostasis. So it's like the body recognizes that element or that ingredient, goes, oh, I need to turn on the mechanisms in my body that are going to help resolve whatever pattern this symptom is representing. And so the body turns on its own mechanisms to come back into balance and, eliminate the, the imbalance or the disease issue that's going on that's causing that symptom. So it's basically a very small diluted amount of something that is nudging the body to recognize what it needs to do to overcome that problem. So it's fascinating. It's very different than an approach with herbs and other things, even though herbs are amazing and I use those all the time as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
mhm.
It's really cool. And I really love the like treats like. I think we see a lot of that in food therapy, like using food as medicine. If you have an animal with kidney issues, you may want to be feeding them some kidneys so that you're giving them the selenium and some of the other nutrients that they need, right? Same thing with liver. If you have liver issues, you might want to feed some liver from like a very good grass-fed pastured source,
Right.
not crappy feedlot cow liver.
That caveat. Mhm.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like the asterisk. But yeah, everything else in medicine, especially when you think about pharmaceuticals, everything is anti, right? Anti-nausea medicine, anti-diabetic medicine, anti-hypertensives for blood pressure. You're giving things that are suppressing or canceling, which none of that stuff gets rid of the underlying cause of your symptoms or addresses it. All it does is suppresses it. Whereas something like homeopathy is actually more of like a feed forward, right? So you're actually giving the body what it needs to recognize the underlying problem and then do something about it naturally, if I'm understanding correctly.
Isn't it? You are spot on. And that is so well said. That, not to knock, conventional medicine has its place. And sometimes,
Uh-huh.
we need to recruit that type
Yeah.
of medicine. But like you said, everything is anti, like fight it, get rid of it, with
Yeah.
an outside mechanism. And homeopathy is, again, as you just said, giving the body a tool for the body to recognize how to turn on its own innate healing capacity. And
Yeah.
it's such a neat premises. And it's been, by the way, homeopathy's been used for centuries,
Yeah.
and it's used all over the world. And in some places, in India and other places, it was like the top form of medicine that was used for quite some time. And it's also used across all species. So clearly humans and pets, but also farm animals, chickens, birds. I mean, zoo animals. I mean, that's the great thing too, is homeopathy has been used in, I think, every species. So,
Yeah. Ugh, it's just so cool. I love when we
mhm.
let nature do its thing. So, how did you decide on which homeopathic remedies to make? Because you have several. And like I said, the tummy is like, I will never go without tummy in my house again. To give just a little backstory to our listeners, and probably you, Dr. Katie, don't know this, but my dog Copper was my first dog ever, never had childhood dog. And he's a rescue, no information about his background. And I got him as a puppy. And within about a year of having him at home with me, he was diagnosed with chronic pancreatitis. And we had quite the journey, me and this dog. And that's actually how I ended up in the holistic pet space in the first place, because I was really quite failed by all the conventional medications and prescription quote unquote kibbles. um, and all the things, and they really didn't help. And I'd give him Zofran sometimes, and he would have his vomiting episodes, right? The antiemetics. And I'd give him Imodium, which is an anti-diarrheal, right? I would treat every symptom, but I never got to the underlying issue. Now, we have resolved his pancreatitis with fresh food. It's been 3 years, and he has not had a pancreatitis flare since the first day that I put a bowl of raw chicken in front of this dog. But he does still have a much more, what I would kind of loosely say, sensitive stomach compared to my other animals. And I'm sure it's because we've had some chronic damage that's been done. Maybe his pancreas doesn't function at 100% because it took so many hits. And from a digestive perspective, he's definitely not like the poster child for can eat anything with no problems. And so for us, tummy is a big game changer, because I can hear when he's starting to he'll get the rumblies and he'll lick his lips, and maybe I'll see one loose stool or a little bit of, where they squat and they don't actually go because they're feeling that,
Mm,
the
mhm.
sensation, like I have to go, but nothing is there yet. This will knock it out. And I have never found something that worked for him in that way. It was usually more of a band-aid rather than a prevention. And if I give this to him I don't have to spend the next 12 hours worrying if I'm going to have to let him out 3 times for diarrhea, you know? So it's phenomenal. So how did you even come to the conclusion, like, these were the ones I had to make first?
Oh, I love it. And I love hearing the feedback of, the success with it for copper. That is just, makes me so happy. But it does ring along with, what I often get to hear. I mean, this remedy literally is our best-selling remedy because it works for the vast majority. I mean, it is really impressive how well that formula works. And so many pets, even if they don't, or humans for that matter. I mean, this formula is perfectly good for humans, and I take
Yep.
it if I'm ever having an upset tummy. Even when you have pets who don't have a sensitive, stomach or digestion, usually at some point in, life along the way, we're all going to have a day where, our digestion's off and our tummy's upset. So it is such a good remedy for every household to have on hand for the
Yeah.
four-leggeds and the two-legged humans.
Yep.
And of course, one of the reasons why I decided to create this remedy is first of all, the success that I was seeing in my patients in practice of using homeopathic remedies. And what I had been doing for years was custom blending several different things that I knew should help with, different symptomatic, presentations of things going on in the GI system. And so I custom blended, and I saw this work so well that
Mhm.
finally I'm like, I'm going to do my own blend, and I am literally going to have, the homeopathic formula created to exactly the blend that I want, rather than me having to do, all the mixing every single time that I was getting a bottle ready for somebody. So
Yeah.
that's what it was, born out of. And one of the things that I really have grown to appreciate about this remedy and seeing work for, you know, pets and humans, is that it really is a nice comprehensive formula, in that the remedies or ingredients in there to create the blend really support, so many different presentations going on in the GI tract. I reach for it a lot, or recommend it for my patients when there's anything upper GI. If there is reflux, indigestion, nausea, poor appetite, like I don't want to eat, because oftentimes that's because of nausea or indigestion,
Uh-huh.
or, stomach cramping, loud stomach noises, pinging, stuff like that, wanting to eat grass, that sort of thing. Certainly, regurgitation, vomiting, etc. But there are ingredients in there that are helping with the middle gut, with also pancreas and liver. And then also lower gut too. So even for, diarrhea or soft stools, or, large intestine kind of symptom patterns as well. So tummy is kind of an
Yeah.
overall formula, and it's just got such a high success rate, and I'm so glad that you've seen that in your household too.
Yeah. This thing is just so great. And I've used it myself as well. We had a recent night out where we went to the comedy club, and I ate some greasy foods that I should not have eaten. And we had to leave a little bit early from the comedy
Yeah,
club
there you
because
go. And
I had to make a few trips to the porcelain throne. And the minute we got home, I took some of
took
this,
to,
and I was smooth sailing for the rest of the night. So yeah,
yay! I love that.
this is
And
in the emergency kit and the
oh,
medical
I'm
cabinet.
so glad to
So
hear that, Kara. And not only is it thrilling to hear that it worked for you, but that
yeah.
it worked quickly. And that is a good,
Yes.
prompt for me to share this with everyone, is that one of the other great things about homeopathy is not only is it very safe, can be used across species, but it also, if it's going to work, like, no, we certainly can't claim that 100% of the time, a homeopathic remedy is going to work for somebody. We don't get 100% success across the board every single time with something. But when homeopathy is going to work, it generally is going to work quickly. Whereas herbal things sometimes take a little bit of time. Definitely nutritional changes and nutritional supplements
Mhm.
are going to take a little bit of time to start shifts in the body to manifest with the results that we may see outwardly. But homeopathy, again, it's so energetic. It is literally helping to nudge the body to, make an immediate change. And
Yeah.
so oftentimes with homeopathy, we are literally seeing a result within moments to minutes.
Yeah.
And a nice example of that are remedies that can help with like bug bites, bee stings. There are things in my allergy remedy that would apply to that, but there are certain things where if somebody gets an immediate swelling or a bee sting or something like that, there are remedies that will literally bring that down immediately. And I've even had clients through the years when I would prescribe stuff like that for their pets that would say, "Oh my gosh, I used to do, prednisone and Benadryl and all this stuff. And I just give them this remedy, in the summer season, if they get exposed to something that we know is a huge trigger for them. And this takes care of it. Honestly, it works faster than the drugs did." And
Yeah.
so that's really fun too. And then the other neat thing is it can be combined with drugs. There's no contraindication to using homeopathy. It can be combined with herbs, it can be combined with pharmaceuticals. There's nothing that's going to interfere. And that's a beautiful thing because even though herbs generally are far safer than pharmaceuticals, of course, there's still certain herbs that might have interfering effects that either a practitioner or somebody who's using a lot of different formulas in their pets, it's always good to have an expert verify that all the formulas you're using play well together.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so a beautiful thing about homeopathy is you can use that in tandem with other tools, whether they are conventional or holistic. And what I love to tell people is I'm certainly always strive to address things in a multimodal approach. Conventional medicine uses that term too, but certainly from a holistic standpoint, multimodal is a beautiful thing where oftentimes I like to, when I'm certainly for things that are chronic, chronic conditions that pets have, I like to recommend something from the herbal category, definitely always talking about diet and nutrition, something from a nutritional supplement category or glandulars, things like this, and then perhaps something from the homeopathic category. And when you put a sensible blend of things together that all work well together, you're likely going to get a better outcome overall
Mm-hmm.
than if you just choose one thing and hope that that's the one and only solution. So I love building a sensible little, you know, regimen that really complements things well. And homeopathy is such a beautiful piece of that regimen. So,
Yeah. Yep. I love it. That layered approach. And, we mentioned at the beginning of this bear and how he had hurt his neck yesterday. Homeopathy is one of the things that I reached for. I used arnica for pain on top of having some anti-inflammatories and a full spectrum hemp extract. And then my red light therapy. And, so being able to
love
take that
it.
layered approach rather than almost being too rigid and only choosing one thing at a time, I think does nothing but benefit. And I love what you said about how you do still need to be cognizant of how certain things might work together when it comes to herbs. But in particular, I notice if somebody is using herbs and pharmaceuticals, it's really important to know what pathway is going to be metabolizing those because so many pharmaceuticals go through the liver and our poor, poor livers are so overburdened and overtaxed by all of the endocrine disruptors and environmental chemicals and fragrances and medications and everything that you could think of. And then a lot of these herbs, use those same like the CYP 450 or the 3,4-A or whatever pathways, whatever liver pathways.
Exactly.
And if they're
Hmm.
overburdened and you're not supporting them, then you might think that you're reaching for something harmless and natural, but it could be, you don't want it to be like the straw that broke the camel's back when your liver is already stressed. So I love the
Yep.
emphasis that you put on making sure that you're aware of how things interact and work together. So if you're ever working with an integrative practitioner, make sure obviously that they know any of the pharmaceuticals that you're on if they're going to be prescribing some like a nutraceutical to you, like an herb. So.
Yep, yep. And that is such a great, I'm glad you really broke that down well for everyone. And then the other interesting nuance to tag on to that is that, and because everything you said, obviously, absolutely accurate. Homeopathy, though, does absorb, and I didn't mention this yet. Homeopathy, when you put it in the mouth, it absorbs from the mucous membranes into, the body's
Mhm.
circulation. And so whereas an herb, you're ingesting it,
Yeah.
it's going through the digestive
No
tract
first
and
pass.
making its way right through, the liver and stuff like that, like you said. So a lot of herbs still have to use those same pathways that pharmaceuticals would. Homeopathy does not. So that is one of the reasons, again, for not only its safety, but its ability to use it alongside other things without interference, which is really cool. The other fun thing about the tummy formula in that context is that when a pet or a human is not feeling well and you're feeling nauseous and you don't want to eat, you can simply put the tummy, just drizzle it in the mouth. As soon as it touches inside the mouth, anywhere, inside the lip, inside the, under the tongue, on the tongue, doesn't matter. It's going to absorb from there. If pets won't let you put it in the mouth, ideally put it on something, in a little bit of food that they'll lick up if they, are eating, whether that's a little bit of broth or a little bit of, yogurt or kefir or raw milk or something like that. And it can go in food, but classic homeopaths love to, get it in purely and quickly through the mucous membranes. But it alternatively, of course, can be put in food. But that's a nice thing to kind of give the distinction of the pathways and absorption in the body are very different from things that we ingest to dissolve that way.
Yeah. And actually, I'm glad that you brought that up. Ah, it's too far away, my bag. I wanted to show people. I have some of like the Boreon, like the pellets, the homeopathic pellets.
Yes, the pellets.
And they're solid. It's a pellet, right? And so you twirl the thing and you throw the pellet and you put it in like maybe your cheek pocket or something like that, and it dissolves in there. But what I really love about yours, especially for animals, because man, have you ever tried to put a homeopathic pellet in a cat's mouth? Like, it's really hard. Yours are,
good luck.
you add the liquid to it. And so you don't even have to worry about trying to get this pellet because it's liquid. So can you explain why?
Thank you for bringing that up.
Come to this conclusion, because I've never seen anybody else have something like this.
It's interesting. There's so many fun details because I forgot that we hadn't even mentioned the delivery system that, my products support is that you are correct. So homeopathics, many of them on the market are sold as little pellets or little tablets for humans that we let dissolve in our mouth and therefore, absorb into our body from the mouth. And oftentimes for pets, when they're created for pets, if they're sold as tinctures, they typically have alcohol in them as a preservative so that they can last on the shelf at room temperature for quite some time. If you wanted to bypass that preservative or whatever, or you just, you didn't get a product that was created for animals and you're using, one that you bought for people, then yes, you'd have to put that pellet in your pet's mouth. And that can be very difficult. They spit it out. It rolls on the outside lip. It sticks on the outside of the lip. It can be a huge challenge, although it's definitely a possibility that anyone could do. With my products, I very specifically made them to be hydrated with water. So the way that they are sold to the pet parent or consumer is that the pellets are in there. They're very tiny pellets. They're custom blended for the blends that I have created for whatever it says, on the label, each blend. And then you simply add purified water into the bottle.
Yep.
We tell people, to the top of the label is but really, you just fill the bottle with purified water. Any kind of purified water is fine. We just don't want tap water because there's so many, chemicals and toxins in there that's going to negate some of the benefits of it. So whether it's reverse osmosis water, whether it's filtered water, mineral water, doesn't matter. Purified water of any kind. And then you can shake it. It will dissolve even without the shaking, but we like to shake it to just kind of energetically mix that up and get it all, dispersed in there. And then each time you go to give it, I do recommend to give it a little shake to, get it all uniformly dispersed in there. And then as you showed, and now you can see it's a little cloudy from, the pellets absorbing into that and then giving it. The beautiful thing about the way this is created is that there's no bad taste. There's, with alcohol, most pets, especially cats, when they first taste a homeopathic remedy that's alcohol based, they're going to run from you every time they see the bottle thereafter. With the water-based ones, it literally simply tastes like water. And I have had so many clients through the years, because I've been doing, even when I was mixing it all my own before I custom, made these to go, I was always doing it in water, and I would have people report back to me, and I still do all the time, that my cat, literally, they see me get the bottle out of the fridge and they come for it. Like, they know that it's helping them. I can't believe, Kara,
It's
I literally
amazing.
can't believe how many times I have heard this. It is amazing. And I had one, a
Yeah.
little teeny 6-pound Chihuahua, Chacho, his name is Chacho, that I saw, recently. And his mom was so excited to tell me that when she gets the bottle out, he literally comes for he's on the mobility formula. He's an agility
Yeah.
dog. He's like 6 pounds. He's amazing. And I have my mobility formula, and she goes, oh, he comes for his homeopathic medicine. He knows when I get it out.
I
And
love
so,
it.
like, pets don't mind it, and
Yep.
they can really, sort of align with it working for their body because they don't have any displeasure to it. And it's just such a
Yeah.
beautiful thing to see. So the water-based thing is very unique in the market space for pets with homeopathics. And then the one drawback or little high maintenance piece of that, the fact that I use water and not a preservative, is that it is best to keep these formulas in the refrigerator for
Yeah.
longer term storage. I do tell people, and it says on the label, discard it after about 3 months. It's not going to last forever because there is not a preservative. So if you're going to keep replacing it, you might buy a bottle quarterly, 4 times a
Uh-huh.
year. But if you leave it out on the counter for a day, a couple of days, even a week, it's not like it's going bad instantly. So I tell people, don't pitch it if you just forgot about it for a day or two.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. But you don't want to leave it in obviously extreme heat, and you don't want to leave it out for 3 months straight. And so we do tell people store it in the refrigerator for the most part, and then discard the bottle after 3 months and purchase a refill.
Excellent. Excellent. So we don't have time to discuss all of them, but can you at least list the Dr. Katie's remedies, the homeopathic remedies that you have?
Sure. And then we could finish real quick with dental if we have a
Yeah.
moment. But yeah, actually maybe and I have all the bottles, sitting next to me. I don't know if people can see this, but this is allergy, and going in sort of alphabetical, because I have 11 formulas so far in the Dr. Katie's Remedies line. And
Oh my
the
gosh.
one
I didn't know you
is
had that many. I
I
thought you
have
had
I
like six
expanded.
for some reason.
Thank you. I started out with 5 or 6, and then we added. So I added more
Yes.
this year. And so going in alphabetical order, so I have 10 homeopathics and then the one dental to make 11
Yeah.
products. And so the first one is my allergy. And then recently, which I'd had for a while, recently I added the Btella. So this one is really good for kennel cough, so Bordetella. It's in a smaller bottle because generally you're not going to use the same kind of volume because this isn't something you're going to be using, every day for months on end. But
Right.
Btella is a really good blend, of course, there's Bordetella 30C, the homeopathy remedy in there from the original pellet. And that is going to help with Bordetella symptoms. Bordetella, of course, being kennel cough or the kennel cough
Mhm.
complex that is partly viral, partly bacterial. So this would be a great formula to use either before boarding, doggy daycares, grooming, kenneling, things like that when they're going into high risk situations. Or even if they get symptomatic or somebody else in the household or someone they play with gets symptomatic,
Mhm.
you can use this. No drugs involved, super safe, but helping the body to get back into homeostasis quickly or even to prevent things from occurring. So
Excellent.
that is the Btella. And I figured that need a little bit of explanation. Then there's the dental, which we could also go over at the end. My
Yeah.
immune formula, which I added this year too. And the immune formula would be great for any infectious stuff, kitties with upper respiratory infections,
Mm.
certainly, kennel cough. Again, it could be paired with the Btella. Any immune compromise, autoimmune, immune mediated, those kinds of things. If there's, times of stress, travel, things like that to keep the immune system up. There's things like homeopathic echinacea and things like that in there. So
Nice.
and then I also added a kidney formula. And certainly
Oh,
there's
that's
a
excellent.
lot of kidney, issues are very common in kitties, but a growing, issue for dogs too. So now we
Mm.
have a nice, homeopathic natural support for kidney issues and chronic kidney disease. And then my mobility formula, which does have arnica. You called that out earlier that you use for bear. Arnica is in here along with 5 other homeopathic remedies that are combined with that. That was one of my originals. I came out this year with my nerve formula, which, by the way, I've had really a lot of great reported feedbacks already from this formula. And so nerve, and this could also be used, by the way, for bear. This can be combined with your arnica or other mobility formulas. My mobility and my nerve together are a good pair together. I'll just show those. But the nerve, very specifically, nerve pain or other nervous system imbalance as well. So twitches, spasms, in the limbs, things like that. But definitely nerve pain. So with neck pain and back pain, typically there's nerves being pinched. And neck pain and back pain can be anywhere from subtle to absolutely severe. And, pets are wincing and crying and, shrieking and things like that. So I have had such good feedback on this nerve, even with just spasms and twitches and things too. So got the nerve formula. Then I added the stress formula. So stress would be for times of acute stress. It's not a formula. There's, we can have a whole hour-long conversation about stress for our pets and ourselves. And there certainly are a lot of chronic stress issues for all of us across the board, but acute stress is a big deal for pets too, whether it's travel stress, somebody's coming to visit, I'm going to the veterinary office, I'm going to the groomer, all of these types of things, thunderstorms, fireworks,
separation anxiety.
Thank you. Separation. Yep. And so that's what this was created for, is those times of sort of triggered stress. So it's not meant to be like use it every day for 3 months straight, but use it for several days at a time, or just that day, if there's something, going on. So that's my stress formula. Then the tummy formula, which we talked about for all of GI. And then the last 2, other than dental, is the V-tox, which vaccine detox, we call it V-tox. That's right here. But it's good for more than just vaccine detox. It's really good for just a general detox. So could be used a few times or quarterly, throughout the year, just as a nice little general detox for the lymphatic system, and really to, get things out of more of a cellular level. But shines for after vaccination as well. Whether that vaccine was yesterday or months or last year, it's still very good to help remove things out of the body that have stored in there, whether it's the adjuvants like aluminum and mercury, or, other things that the vaccine is impacting. And then we have V-tox R specifically for the rabies detox. And again, that one comes in a smaller bottle, V-tox R, because again, we're not using this every day. This is just for 3 to 5 days after a rabies vaccine is given, or if we're still trying to detox from a previous rabies. And that's the whole line, other than the dental formula, which you have. Oh, I didn't grab my dental, but you have it.
I do. Ooh, I have it. Yeah. So let's talk about the dental, because this is the one that's not homeo. And you probably won't be able to see it, but if I don't shake this, you can see because of the particles right on the bottom. This one's a little bit different than the others. So tell us about how this is different.
Yeah, so the homeopathic remedy is oil-based, and the bulk of it, most of the ratio of what's in there, and everything is organic, of course. So it's the organic coconut oil, and it very specifically is Cocotherapy brand. Okay, so I know we were going to put on the label, we haven't done it yet, powered by Cocotherapy triplex oil.
Amazing.
So the beautiful thing about it is that, that's the Cocotherapy brand, so fantastic all the way around.
Oh, so good.
But their triplex oil very specifically still retains the lauric acid component in the coconut oil. Most liquid coconut oils, or MCT oil, have a lot of good properties, but don't have that lauric acid component in it. And lauric acid is known to be phenomenal for the mouth and other things as well, because it's naturally antimicrobial, it's naturally anti-inflammatory. So this particular oil has that component, retained in it, which is fantastic. So that's the bulk of it. To that, I have added organic essential oil of peppermint and essential oil of myrrh. And both of those are fantastic for oral health. Myrrh for centuries has been known to be extremely beneficial for oral health. So it helps with gingivitis, it helps with, inflammation in the gums and the periodontal tissues. It's also antimicrobial. Myrrh has also been shown and seen to shrink tumors and masses. And so I've had literally some oral, people who have sent me follow-ups saying, oh my gosh, there was a lump in the mouth that has gone away or shrunk since we started using this. So we've been able to, get those kinds of feedbacks too, which is phenomenal. But myrrh is great in and of itself. And then we have peppermint. Peppermint is naturally antimicrobial and obviously breath freshening as well. So that's a nice component. Both of those essential oils are at very small amounts within the whole formula. So they're effective and impactful, but they're very subtle. They're not overpowering. So even for a cat, it's very little flavor, just enough to be pleasant, at least for me, but not enough to be annoying. And then the particles you may be seeing and the final ingredient in there is there are liquid trace minerals added as well. And trace minerals are so good for dental health and oral health, and also help to keep the teeth strong and keep the enamel strengthened. Because the thing with the enamel is the outer coating on the tooth, the strong protective coating, is enamel wears, over time throughout life. Our body does not rebuild any more new enamel. So when we eat minerals in our diet, that helps our, teeth and dental health too. But also applying some on directly can help the enamel to, stay stronger and be the protection mechanism for the teeth as well. So that's the whole formula. Little tip on using the formula, either for people or pets, is shaking it up and maybe like dispelling from the dropper a couple of times before you draw it up, because the minerals are heavier and they settle to the bottom of the bottle. And so if you just take what's off the bottom with the dropper and taste it, you'll taste a little metallic, kind of that mineral influence there. But if you shake it up, then you don't get that so forward, and it's actually a really pleasant flavor. I oil pull with the dental formula nearly every day. And so I just take a little bit, swish it around my mouth. You could swish it around for 10 minutes or more. And you can do that with just coconut oil by itself. That's a traditional
I use
Ayurvedic
oil for that.
Yay! Yep. Ayurvedic traditional, health method for oral health. It's fantastic to detoxify, but also to freshen breath, antimicrobial healing, all that good stuff. And so this is just kind of leveling it up a little bit more from just coconut oil by itself. So humans can oil pull with it. For pets, you can simply either rub it on their gums, or you could put it on a toothbrush and brush their teeth with it. So
now, if you're trying to get it into a kitty, and putting something in the mouth is not a possibility, can you drizzle it over food?
if they will eat, I haven't had too many people yet report to me if a cat would take it that way. You could do that, but if you could put it on, I don't know if there's something that they would chew or a treat. If you could put it on that might be a little better, so that there might be a little more application in their mouth before they just swallow it. Because if it just goes straight down, not doing as much. But anything that might, because sometimes cats don't chew very well either, just like dogs don't. So if it's on something that they will chew or play with, or there's a little toy or something that, you could add it onto, that would be even better.
Good idea.
And if you can get a little bit in there, in some way, whether it's your finger brush, all the power to you. That'd be great.
This is my mind is going like a million miles a minute thinking about how I can use all of these things for myself and for my husband.
Perfect.
I already use some, but now I'm like, I think I need the allergy for his dog dander allergy, and I think I need the dental for my gum recession, and I think I need like I'm over here. I'm about to buy your whole line, Dr. Katie.
Thank you, Kara.
Oh my gosh.
And yes, for gum recession, it will be very helpful. And, and obviously broad dental care with that, but it is such a good tool to support gingival health and beyond. So,
well, Bear came over to say thank you. And also, how can people find your products?
Oh, thank you so much. So you can follow me on social media, Dr. Katie Kangas. So Dr. Katie Kangas. We also have Dr. Katie's Remedies. People can buy direct from my site. And you'll find me for my practice too. If people are interested in having their pets a session with me, then that is intvetcare.com. But I have a lot of social media out there now with Dr. Katie Kangas. So.
Excellent. And I'll make sure we link all of this below in the show notes. So thank you 10 million for coming on. This has been so amazing, so informative. I am so excited. And I'm just beyond all of that. I'm glad that we finally got a chance to just sit down and connect because this was just really, really excellent. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you for having me and thank you for what you do. And I love that our paths and our passions match up so well together. So it's such a pleasure to speak with you today and always.
Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next month.
Thank you for listening. Please remember that you, yes, you, are the driving force that helps keep small businesses and platforms like mine running. So if you liked what you heard, please like, share, and most importantly, rate this podcast. It's the only way we can reach more people and spread the word about natural health. None of the conditions discussed or recommendations given are meant to replace the advice of your health provider. So if you have concerns about yourself or your pets, please confer with a human or animal health practitioner. Have a super fantastic day, and I'll see you next week.